Hello friends, welcome to Código AMAD. In today's video, I am going to explain the NU code and everything related to modifying the names of passengers. Before I begin my explanation, I recommend that you watch the previous video in which I explain in depth the NM code and everything related to entering passenger names. I will start with today's video. Let's go. In the first 4 pages, 1, 2, 3, and 4, I will present how to work with name modifications and cancellations. In the last 2 pages, 1 and 2, we will see examples of transactions. HE and MHE name allow access to help pages on entering or modifying passenger name information. Next, we see an example of how to access a specific help page on the topic of passenger names. In this example, the specific page we want to access is represented by the code GPCHA 274. The first step is to type HENN. After pressing enter, on the computer keyboard, a list with several informational lines appears. All the informational lines have a code at the beginning of the line similar to GPCHA 274. We need to write that code and press enter on the computer keyboard to expand the information of that specific line. In this example, I have selected the line with the code GPCHA 274. RTN allows retrieving all the information related to the names of the passengers that has been previously generated within a reservation, also called PNR. The information generated within a PNR can be entered manually by us by writing transactions, but informational segments can also be automatically generated by Amadeus with the goal of expanding the information that we have previously entered. Let's look some examples of the codes that appear in those informational segments automatically generated by Amadeus. AN appears when we have added elements to the name. CN appears when we have changed elements of the name. XN appears when we have cancelled elements of the name. Now we can see XE3. This transaction allows for the complete cancellation of the information of segment number 3 of a reservation. I remind you again that a reservation is called PNR. Another example, XE3,4. This transaction allows for the complete cancellation of the information of a segment number 3 and segment number 4 of a reservation. Another example, XE3-5. We cancel segments 3, 4 and 5. On the following page, I will make brief comments about particular situations that maybe occur when an airline observes updates, changes or errors in passenger names. Sometimes airlines do not accept updates or changes to passenger names. The result of a name modification can be the cancellation of the segments of the reservation that are affected. Airlines are authorized to automatically cancel those segments of the PNR. We must ensure that the airline has received the change or update of the passenger names. Therefore, we can make a phone call or send an email. If we make mistakes when creating a PNR, it is advisable to make a phone call to the airline even if we have not generated a locator for the affected reservation. Let's go to the 4th page. Here we can see 2 different ways to modify the passenger names. 1 way, 2 ways. What I am going to explain on this page is very important to correctly understand the transactions of the last 2 pages, this page and this page. Maximum attention, please. The first way to modify a name is to write the segment number of the PNR where the name is located and then write a forward slash followed by the new information that we will modify the name after the forward slash. This form can be used for both name changes and modifications of other information within a reservation, which is also called PNR. This way of making modifications will also change SSR type elements that are associated with the main information that has been modified. I remind you that Amadeus sometimes generates informational segments automatically to complement what we have written in the reservation. With this method of making modifications, those complementary pieces of information that Amadeus automatically adds are also affected. The second way to modify a name consists of writing the NU code at the beginning of the transaction that I explained earlier. NU is the abbreviation of 2 English words: name update. This method is only used for the modification of names. This method of modifying names does not cancel or modify other names of passengers that may be in the same reservation. This method also does not cancel and does not modify SSR type elements that are associated. This form also does not modify the information of children and babies associated with the adult affected by the name change. Now I will explain the last two pages, 1 and 2. We can see many transactions in which the two forms of modifying names explained on the previous page are used. First example, 3/ allows removing the information that is in parentheses in segment number 3 of a reservation. Another example, 3/ we open the parentheses, CHD, and we close the parentheses, allows adding the indicative code for a child, which in this case is CHD, to segment number 3 of a reservation. Another example, 3/ we open the parentheses, INF/Jose, and we close the parentheses, allows adding the indicative code for a baby, which in this case is INF, to segment number 3 of a reservation. At the same time, we are adding the baby's first name, which in this case is Jose. Another example, 3/ we open the parentheses, INF Amado/Jose, and we close the parentheses, allows adding the baby indicator code, the baby's last name, and the baby's first name to segment number 3. And finally, 3/ we open the parentheses, INF Garcia/Maria/13 JUN 33, allows adding the baby indicator code, the baby's last name, Garcia, the baby's first name, Maria, and the baby's date of birth, which in this case is June 13 of 2033. Let's go to the last page. At the top, I made a box, this box, with 3 transactions, 1, 2, and 3, that have the same purpose: modify names and last names of an adult passenger. This passenger is in segment number 3 of a reservation. That characteristic is common to the 3 transactions. First transaction, NU3 Amado González/Alfredo, allows updating one first name, Alfredo, and 2 last names, Amado González, using the code NU at the beginning of the transaction. The second transaction, 3/1 Amado/Alfredo, allows updating one first name, Alfredo, and one last name, Amado, using the first method of updating names that I explained on the 4th page of today's video. Generally, the number 1, this number 1, is added before the last name when there are several passengers with the same last name in the same reservation. The number 1 indicates that we are only modifying one passenger with the last name Amado. If there were a change for 2 passengers with the last name Amado, we should write the number 2 instead of having written the number 1. In the previous transaction, we did not write the number 1 before the last names Amado González because that transaction affects to a reservation where Alfredo is the only person with the surnames Amado González. Generally, the number 1 or the number 2, for example, are not written in front of the last names when there is only one passenger with the same last names in a reservation. The third transaction, NU3/1 Amado/Alfredo space MR, allows for updating one first name and one last name using the code NU at the beginning of the transaction. We can see the code MR at the end of the transaction. MR is used to indicate that the passenger is a married man. Next, we can see a table with 2 transactions that have the same goal: to modify the first name of an adult passenger. This passenger is in segment number 3 of a reservation. This characteristic is common for both transactions. The first transaction, 3/Jose, allows updating the name using the first method I explained here on the 4th page of today's video. And the second transaction, this one, NU3/Jose, allows updating the name using the NU code at the beginning of the transaction. Let's move on the last example, NU3-4/2 Amado/Jose space MR/Maria space MRS. Allows updating the name and surname of a man named Jose and a woman named Maria. Both have the surname Amado. Jose is a married man. Maria is a married woman. In this transaction, we see that after the NU code appears 3-4. This means that we are modifying the information of segments 3 and 4 of a PNR at the same time. Friends, we have come to the end of the video. The following videos will run in the same way that I have made. That is, explaining each of the parts of Amadeus as extensively as possible. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you liked this video. Don't forget to share it with anyone who might be interested. It would be a good gift, both for those who need a booster and for those who didn't get a feel for the program. Above all, it would be a good gift for the latter, who now have a second chance with my videos to take advantage of the time and money allocated in the past, and that they will finally be able to make profitable. Thank you very much, and I will tell you the same thing as always. Love to be loved.